Uh, yeah, 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 uh.
Yep. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode of River City 93. I'm your host, as always, Elliot Barr. And is joining me is a man that probably screamed as loud as I did when both of nail shots from outside of the box went into the back of the net and proved that Austin Pack is a human being after all. He doesn't just make incredible saves. How are you doing, man?
Doing great. Everything this weekend just going, perfectly top corner like Joel's penalty.
Oh my god. No penalties were nice. They were nice. The result, okay, I'm happy with the result. Seeing those penalties made me feel a lot better. I wish we had those kind of penalties during the U.S. Open Cup.
We have four of them.
We did. You're right. You're right. And we'll talk about that. First of all, let's start off with the whole Lions Bridge friendly that wasn't a friendly. That game was like very physical, like very physical. Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but friendlies aren't supposed to be that physical, right?
Yeah, but how do you tell guys to back off, especially if you're coming from Lionsbridge's perspective? Okay, you're probably most of you, college juniors, going to be college seniors, wanting to be on a pro contract next year. Here's a great demonstration of what you can be able to do. Are you really going to half-ass it in that scenario? Or are you going to try to show all that you have right in front of pro coach opposition?
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
that's true.
But even even when we would play the English teams and whatnot, do you think our guys are going to dog it in that kind of a scenario? Probably the biggest game that they're going to play opposition level wise. Oh,
No, I don't blame Irish for that either. Like, I mean, this really does show you like there's a reason why they're one of the top League Two teams out there. Like, and they had a good fan base out there as well. Like, I think shout out to 757 Soccer, Defenders of the Bridge. They all came down. It was, I would say, it was like 50-50 between blue and red jerseys in that stadium.
Yeah, biggest game that they've ever had. Game most of our fans don't care about, if we're being honest.
Yeah, no, like it was a light crowd, but it was still a fun event. I will say this: I think my overall thoughts on the game. First of all, shout out to number 45, Rude Child is 45, and Rude Child is 47. Josh Kirkland scored a fantastic goal. Arthur Boshua had a good header to him. I wish we could see more of that out of Boshua, but he just doesn't get those opportunities in game. But this one paid off. Credit to him. Credit to Josh Burley for finishing that, man. And also, I didn't know he played for Charlotte. What was it? Charlottesville Blues. I didn't know he played.
Yeah, I looked at him. He played at Mary Washington for 4 years. I think it was, I don't remember if they're D2 or D3, but won All American honors at that level. So
yeah,
not impossible that he could show up as a late season ad. The long kickers tradition of having somebody pop on the roster for the last 10, 12 games of the season or so, and then maybe you see them again later, maybe you don't.
Yeah. Hopefully we see him again because this team needs some help in the forward line.
He played direct, didn't he?
Yeah. Hey, I'm just saying. We've scored most of our goals this weekend from being direct and not just waiting, just going at them. Any other thoughts on the Lion Bridge game? Anything else like that? I mean, the big thing is Gee got hurt, so
there's that. I mean, it was nice to see so many of the young guys actually get to play.
Yeah.
Most of you saw guys like Noah who haven't played at all, or other guys like Nick, Gabe. You saw Beckett in there, guys who kind of fallen down, the reserve pecking order as the years progressed, and other guys have gotten healthier again. So getting chance to see them out there playing, like seeing Simmons kind of playing more of an attacking mid position rather than a striker position. It was interesting, if nothing else. And then I was stunned that Darren brought on like basically the whole first team for the last 25 minutes or so. I was like, oh, okay, we're doing this.
Yeah, and I'll say this real quick. The vibe that I got on that is like they kind of like want to keep them in shape. It's kind of like a good practice for them. Like it's a highly elevated practice for them because you can't really practice on that day, and you lose the day because they're traveling. So I guess he kind of was like, all right, use the last 30 minutes, go out there, play. Unfortunately, we did get someone get hurt. one of our centers. I feel so bad for Gee because he was just starting to come into form, like starting to come good. And you started to see a lot of the traits of why Darren wanted him. But kind of a bad tackle. I think it was a tackle from behind that caused Gee to get hurt, which is unfortunate. It sucks for him. Yeah. All right. So the main thing we got to talk about is Jägermeister game against Charlotte. Now, we remember how the last Jägermeister game went. 1-0 loss. Really, Richmond created a bunch of chances. Austin Paxton his head. Charlotte scored right before halftime. And for some reason in this game, they start Overton, and I swear, like, he cannot run. Like I know them knees hurt. He looks sore when he runs.
Yeah. Still has all the ball skill in the world, and unfortunately, we saw you can strike the ball well, but yeah, the actual movement, which helped us out on one of the equalizers, the fact that he doesn't move at all. We'll talk about that later, but yeah, it kind of shows that having just an absolute killer left foot, it can take keep you going places, even if mobility isn't maybe what it once was.
No, not at all, man. And so with this, you had what? You had Neil Boshua getting the start, Tony Pineda on the right. So we saw effectively what inverted wingers because you had Bill Hart on the left, Tony out on the right, Boshua central, and then you had Neil right behind him, kind of bloated. Zaka and Vaughn, and then you had a back four of Dak, Griffin, Arnie, and Fitz, right?
Yeah, it was back to the back four again, and I don't know if the back four fits these guys quite right because I think the games where we switched to the back three, teams seem to perform a little bit better, and I know there's not like a great replacement for Maxey when he's not in the lineup, and that might force it, but
yeah,
I don't know. Like, things don't seem to be working well in the back four, whether that's Dak out on the left, Maxey out there, whatever combination it is.
Yeah, it does feel a little weird with the back four back there. And I mean, like Darren talked about I think it was the post-game conference, the reason why they can't start Maxey because Maxey has like a bunch of yellow cards. So they're trying to get a lot of those cleared out before he gets back into the starting rotation, where it hinders a lot of what Richmond can do.
Yeah, I heard that. What did you think of that answer?
Of Maxey having the yellows?
Of holding him out because of that?
I think that's the dual side of Maxey because we know how rash of a player he is. Like we know before when he was at Fuego. Like I think the 2 games he played against us at Fuego, he both had red cards in that game. So I think if you know that, I think you might want to sign like a capable left back, a deputy behind him. So if you're looking for the same tactical flexibility, you can play it. But I don't see. What did you think of it?
I understood what he was saying, but for me, the logic doesn't check out entirely because all right. So the idea is that he's got a lot of yellow cards. Presumably, I guess it would be the next yellow card is a suspension, right? And
Yeah,
if you can get a certain number of appearances without getting a yellow card, I think one of them gets like wiped out or something like that. He gets some clemency there. So okay, there's a little bit of logic, to it. But I also think Maxi's shown to be far and away our best option on the left side of the field, throughout the year sadly at multiple positions. Uh, maybe now that Tony's back, it's a little bit of a different story. But Maxi's basically been our left side of the field this
yes,
year, right? And is it worth hamstringing your team's ability for 60, 65 minutes, multiple games in a row, on the off chance that even when you put him in later on, he doesn't get a yellow during that amount of time, and you're in essence missing him for, let's say, 3 straight games for 60 minutes each because you hold him out of the lineup, so that for 180 minutes, or you roll the dice, and if he gets suspended, you miss him for 90 the next game, but then he's back.
yeah. Not bad. My guess is that Darren is probably risking it on like, all right, 20, 25 minutes. He won't get the yellow card there versus playing a full game and he has to take a tackle or something like that.
Yeah,
You know,
I get, like I said, I get the logic behind it. I don't think we're at this team's at the point right now where you can gamble. Maybe you can you gamble in the Jaeger games because who cares? But come like Wednesday in the league game, I don't care. You got to roll them out there because this team's not in a position to be able to try to finesse right now.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, you got to put him out there for that. Like that's without a doubt. Like that game. I mean, even this game, like walking out of it, like I like seeing Emmy get the start in the second half lets me know, like, okay, he's ready to go for Wednesday. Like, if you're going to play on 45, he's ready to get the start on Wednesday and play 60, 70 minutes. Hopefully, there's goal thrown in there, but So out of this game on Wednesday, like, is there any player that stood out to you in a positive manner? I know Neil, of course, but is there anyone else that stood out to you positively?
Neil. I like some of the ideas of what we saw out of Bill Harden Pineda, inverting. I mean, Adrian was doing Adrian things. He was still ripping from distance as well. I felt like most good things were coming through the same two guys. A lot of good things this year, come through. Defense and midfield didn't do a ton for me. I liked all the guys who took the penalties. They absolutely blistered them.
Yeah, no, they did. Like I think Pat got stuck. If I remember correctly, 4 of them went in the same direction. I know 2 went upper 90 back to back. I think Pat got stuck to the ground on like 2 of them. Like he just didn't move.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. Yeah, I would agree with you again. Like this team has been at its best when they are able to be like they're able to have possession, but they're able to be direct in that position and be quicker. I think that's the thing. Like I hear from most kicker fans, and what I've seen in the play is just a lot of times when they possess the ball, it's kind of slow. It's almost like England if you think about it, but it's just it's slow, methodical moving the ball. And with all that, like Charlotte is like, okay, cool, like we can become more condensed and put numbers inside the box, so you can't bring them behind us, right? What I would like to see is what we saw probably on the first goal more so than the second goal of like them kind of penetrating in behind like that last line and then just pulling people out, which creates space for Neil just to take the shot.
Yeah, I think whether that's through penetrating closer to the inline, pulling it back out, whether that's from moving quicker and trying to do little 1-2s somewhere. I don't think it necessarily matters how, but it's that quicker movement because I think when the team gets into the bad version of the possession heavy version of themselves, it can be very, I think, robotic in what they're doing. It's let me look for option A. Okay, option A isn't there. Let me recycle back to option B. And it's almost a deference to the safe play rather than anything else, and that it makes it easier to defend. Sometimes, but when they're looking a little bit more quickly, and they're uh, even just looking inside, sometimes those little gaps open up. Like both of those goals, you find Neil, 20 yards from goal, and he's got the room not just to hit it first time and take a touch and then set himself up, to be able to take a hit, and good things happen. It could have been Bill Hart, a couple of his shots that went through instead. It would be the same sentiment though of it moved quickly, found a little bit of space and took their chance.
Yeah. I want to say like the second goal in particular was really cool because you kind of the way how the camera was set up in Charlotte, you could see it like going into that bottom left corner.
You knew it was in the second he hit it.
Yeah, like you could just see like I don't know how, but like everything just opened up. It was like this window. You were like, "Oh, that's it." You just saw Packwood desperately just dive.
Well, I mean, also on that one, I think it also showcases a little bit of what teams tend to do when they're defending us, because the ball, gone in the box, they cleared it back out, and it pops out to Simon, right?
Yeah,
and they just all decided to leave him there by himself. I don't think teams are afraid if Simon has the ball. I think he's probably the preferred option for most teams. Like, okay, ball near the box, yeah, we'll funnel them over to the right back side of things. But thankfully, call back to like 10 minutes ago, old man Oberton, decided not to be able to kind of check Neil's run from like 3 yards away from him. So Neil had all the time in the world to just tee up, his second, warm burner straight into a corner of the half.
yeah.
You watch it back, you see Overton. He's literally almost equidistant, from Simon and Neil, and just decides to stand there and do nothing with either one of them.
No, he doesn't. And that's out to Simon too, because I think like originally he was about to play that ball to the end line. Like I think he was checking to see if someone was going to make that run. And I don't know if Neil shot it at him or not, but he just like it was like, oh, it just tapped it, like literally. It was like,
oh, you're wide open 5 yards from me in a great position. Okay, yeah,
go ahead and take it. And honestly, I don't know what it is, man, but Neil always, I think Banana said it, but like Neil always, every season he seems to find that goal in it. Like that goal at the top of the box.
Yeah, he's definitely scored at least one of those at Madison in the past. I feel like one of his in Lexington last year was almost that exact same. The first goal.
I feel like another one is Greenville.
I can't remember if it was Greenville or I wanted to say maybe one of the Knoxville ones, but I might be mixing up. Yeah. Fact is, like it's enough that people are recognizing, like, oh, this is the Vignal spot. This is the magic zone, and yeah, let's hope the other teams are scouting that, and we can get another couple goals out of them from that same exact area as the year goes on. Because I'd be okay with that.
And I mean, we talked about it last week too about like where we rank Neil in probably the last couple of years, and when it comes in terms of like top creators, and one of the things that we knocked Neil for was like he doesn't take a lot of shots. Like that shot, like I want to see Neil take. I want to see Neil take that shot at least twice a game, even if it doesn't come off. Like say if the goalkeeper saves it or it goes slightly over the crossbar or something. Like I want to see Neil at least take that shot because then it just gives the defense something else to think about. Right.
Yeah, whether on either side of the box. I mean, we saw he finished from either side. There.
He did, and he almost had a hat trick. He almost had a hat trick if Clay Dimmick didn't, rugby style tackle him from behind, like near the end of the game. I'm pretty sure Neil is going to score there.
It's highly possible, right?
Yeah, like.
Then,
the way
I was like, is he going to hit this, stoppage time free kick? I mean, he didn't. But the way he was playing, gave you the thought of like, all right, is he really feeling it today? Is this going to cap it off?
Which would have been hilarious that Neil gets a hat trick before Emmy. Nobody would have had that on that bingo card. All right, so I don't know where to take this conversation next, but
This is the
the
bad side of the
defense.
conversation.
Yeah, this is the bad side of the conversation. I feel like Darren needs to have a come to Jesus meeting with not particularly, I wouldn't say the defense themselves. I would say the midfield and like the
Center backs.
yeah. I would really say it comes down just to the lack of urgency at times. Because we saw it here in the Charlotte game. Like, you look at the first goal, like the Obertan goal, the first one, like Obertan is literally just backing down his defender. Like, he's not doing nothing special.
Mhm.
He's literally just backing him down. Like,
Well,
old man YMCA basketball vibes. And
I
then
was
he
gonna say,
turns and just hooks
if
it.
you want to use basketball terminology, they basically just did a 2-man ISO game,
Yeah,
which is the same thing they did here in Richmond.
yeah. Like, what does Darren need to do to get this defense to work? Because we saw it, like, he took off Zaka at the 45-minute mark. He took off James Vaughn close to around the 60-minute mark. And to be frankly honest with you, after that, I correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but the defense in midfield seemed a lot more solidified when we had Suko, Zhao, and Dak in there. Like, it
Yeah,
seemed a lot more stable.
Yeah, I think part of it is I believe they moved back to the 3 in the back, and that
Yeah.
helped the cause a little bit too. But I think Suko in there can give you a little bit more energy, if nothing else. Energy is not the right word, for it. But
They're
he's more
more
of a
able to
runner.
cover ground.
He's a runner,
Like, yeah.
right? And because I mean, we feel like we've seen this more than a few times, recently, and I know who's in the shot, when that shot goes off isn't always the best indicator. Like we've used the basketball, getting posterized. It's usually the guy who's on the poster. It's not his fault because he's playing help defense at that point. But this is going to sound really mean, but I feel like most goals that we're conceding lately, you see the same 2 guys right around the play a lot, and Zaka and Griffin.
That is bad. Because especially on the second goal, is definitely Zaka standing there in the penalty yard box. But really, if you back it on up, Ani drifts all the way out to like literally like a fullback spot, which forces Simon to go up. And then Simon, it is once again, it's Overton. Literally, he's just out there just doing moves. Like he's not doing anything quick. And Simon shuffles too far outside, which gives Overton just a window he needs just to whip a ball in. So because of that, Zaka now has dropped down to the penalty yard spot. But like it's his ball is whipping in. Like Zaka can't do anything with that because Zaka's as tall as me. Like he's not clearing that. And Griffin is having I can't remember Obi-Wan run across his face, but he recognizes it too late and he can't step in front of him. Like
so I don't know if it's like communication thing, like they're just not communicating well enough or quick enough. If it could just be coincidence, but like the first Overton goal, like Zaka's the one who's kind of there near him for most of the play, especially after kind of the quote unquote handoff. Overton gets the ball back from whoever the other guy was. I don't remember. Doesn't matter. Who he was playing kind of the little 1-2s with in the box there, but it feels like they're too focused on contain, and I don't know if they're afraid of giving up free kicks or that's an intentional decision to just not go in hard on tackles near the box. But I feel like that's been the cause of a lot of some of the recent problems, is just playing almost too passive in the defense.
yeah, like it feels like because Charlotte whole thing was they weren't really trying to be like route one. It was more so like the build-up play was based on getting things out to the wing, stretch the kickers out wide. Which, as much as I love Doc and I love James Bond, like they're both destroyer types, both destroyer type midfielders. Like their game is really like clear out somebody to get the ball and then play it to the people who can then start the attack. Like they're not mobile runners and they're not covering every blade of grass. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So like in that, like how can I put this? I think it's something we talked about last week as well. Like Zaka and Vaughn are exactly the same type of person where they kind of cancel each other out. Like they're consistent. Like they're like a 7 out of 10 on every game day. Like they do all the dirty work that doesn't show up on the sassy, but they're not going to do the thing that like propels you forward and win you a game.
Mm-hmm.
So it really. Oh, my fault. What were you about to say?
No, finish your thought. I thought you were done.
Oh, I was going to say, like, it really just felt like what this team needs in the midfield to kind of alleviate some of that defensive stress is like someone like Suko or Zhao who could just run around and just kind of clean up for them.
Yeah.
And allow them to do, like, the destroyer.
Yeah, and I think Suko has, like, maybe three starts on the year, something like that, right?
Yeah, and I know he's just coming back from injury as well.
Right. You know what? At least 2 of those starts were win at Tormenta, win at Knoxville. Right.
Yeah.
Again, that sample size, causation, correlation, but things have been, working for whatever reason when it's been on the field. Quality of opponent could play into that, too. But the team's working differently when he's out there, and in a successful version of differently. So, yeah, like we love Zaka, but if it's a matter of Suko plays and we get results, and Zaka's coming in off the bench, okay.
Yeah.
Or same thing with Vaughn, doesn't matter which one to me.
Yeah, no. Like I think that's fine either way. Like you just have to have a little bit more balance in midfield. Cause like asking those two to cover all that grass in front of them, especially when Neil's kind of in his free roam. Because Neil doesn't really get involved in the defensive stuff in the middle. He's kind of like out to the side or more up top. So to ask those two to kind of cover everything is tough. And I just feel like you just need, and maybe Darren's just waiting for like Zhao or Justin to get healthy enough to put them back into a starting space. But yeah, you're right. This is something that we've seen a while. And, I know we had our frustrations last week, but once again, like it's another game without a clean sheet. And it's a game where the opposition really creates 2 chances because, to be honest with you, I don't think Pablo was under a lot of pressure.
No, the only other like really big chance was that one right after Neil's free kick in stoppage time where they just I think it was Obregon just missed from outside the post from about 18 yards.
Oh yeah. But outside of that, like Charlotte didn't really threaten what
No, the stats were remarkably even.
Yeah.
In the game, like they had slightly more possession, but it was 9 shots to 9. On target was I think 4-3 to us. Like it wasn't drastically different.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. It wasn't drastically either. And I think Darren, like a big part of the reason was like why we saw Charlotte slow down so much is because Darren like made those changes in the midfield. Like he takes Zaka off a bit at halftime. And I think it's Suko that replaces him, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he came in. I think Maxi came in at the same time too.
Yeah. So and also Arthur Boswell, yeah, that was another one. Like I at the start of the game, I was excited to see Arthur get to start because I was like, all right, we seen the big body bow assist, like him being the target man, flicking the head up ball on. We saw none of that in this game, man. Like it was. I think I've seen more of Arthur drop deep to like a midfielder try to get on the ball and play the ball forward versus the ball coming to him and pressing the center backs. Like it was none of that. To be
wasn't
that's not
wasn't
Arthur's.
great. And then like the times when crosses did get sent in, like they weren't finding him, he wasn't finding the ball, whichever way you want to call it. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't clicking.
Yeah, no, it wasn't clicking at all. And I mean, hopefully, like this isn't the end of Arthur getting those starts and whatnot. Like I do think he can serve a purposeful role in this team. You just got to find that balance, like But yeah, he got stubbed in the second half. Darren was able to go to that preferred back three. I'm gonna throw this out there, and I want to see how you feel about it. How do you feel about Dak in midfield?
I mean, we've seen him play there, like his first season here when we had that three defender, kind of battle with him, Ani, and Chrysler, and I think that's when you could have Dak playing kind of a defensive mid, and Zaka even moved up like half a line there. I think it was before Ethan Bryant ever came in, and then once he came in, everybody kind of shifted a line back, and things started to go very well at that point. So I think he's got the skills to be able to do it. I don't know if it's the best use of him, especially if Guy is out. Because then who's behind? The center backs, to be able to come in and help out if Dak is gassed out from midfield or anything like that. But in a pinch, I think he can be able to contribute there.
Yeah. I will say this, like it's gonna sound like I'm crapping on Zaka and Vaughn. I'm not. Dak just has a better range of passing than Zaka and Vaughn do. And I wouldn't say like probably Zaka. I haven't seen that of Vaughn because Vaughn, I haven't seen him like distribute the ball as much. But Dak, it felt like a lot of the times where the kickers were able to like have those opportunities that where they wanted to break. Dak was able to start the play, get the ball to either Neil, Bill Hart, or Tony, and then let it go, right? Or when they needed to get a foot on the ball and slow it down, Dak was able to do it. Like Dak was in great control of this game, like tempo-wise, from that CDM spot, which is nice to see.
Yeah, and he does that, from his center back spot frequently too. Like, usually he's the distributor of the center backs, and when he's back there, kind of pinging it, especially our long lost long diagonal balls. Like oftentimes, if he was in the game, he was the one responsible for hitting those. So.
Yeah. Also, I mean, we talked about it earlier, but Ani, he gets his return back. How do you think he did in his first true start?
I thought it was pretty decent. Like, I think the best thing you can say is there wasn't a ton about him that stood out, and I think for a center defender, that's can be good news.
Yeah, I know he's probably going to be frustrated about the first goal going in. But yeah, it's good to see him back out there. Like I felt like this team kind of missed his leadership back there on that back line. Him communicating from goalkeeper on up, and a lot.
And let's be real, his long throw ability too, adds another dimension because we've seen one thing that this team is good, absolutely good at in attack is, working these set pieces, whether they're corners in the past, long throws, anything like that. So if we can add another, kind of wrinkle on those weapons, it can only help out right now.
Yeah, it can only do so good. So, I mean, we walk out of here 2-2 draw. It felt like Charlotte, the last 15 minutes was playing for a draw. Like they felt like they were not trying to go forward or really attack. It felt like Richmond was trying to develop that and trying to go forward and whatnot. But yeah, Richmond walked out of Charlotte with 2 points, which puts them tied for second. I mean, on the table we're third, but tied for second place in the group with Charlotte on 7 points and Greenville, who lost last night to Lexington, are at 9 points. And our next Jägermeister game, not next league game, is against Greenville. And we still try to, I mean, we're still trying to figure out the map on like what needs to happen in the next 3 games because we both found out today that Charlotte has Greenville twice the last 2 games.
Right. Which you might think, okay, it could be a good thing, but this team's in a position where they have to finish first. Like the wild card's gone.
Yeah.
At this point, like Omaha and NoCo are just going to keep running up the score on all these Western teams, and let's be real, we scored 5-5 so far. This team's not all of a sudden going to score 8 or 9 the last 3.
Yeah, no.
Right.
Conventional wisdom says that's not going to work.
So they're on 7 points. Obviously the ideal is win out. You get to 16. But if you do that, I guess Charlotte could also win out and match it. So figure out what happens in the tiebreakers. And I don't know what it is. But anything other than winning out, I think it's really dicey because with Charlotte and Greenville playing each other, I think the lowest amount a team could come out ahead with is 3 points. With kind of either a win and a loss or a shootout win and a shootout loss, right? Yeah. So the math gets a lot more complicated with how the competition is structured. But basically, what it boils down to is in about 3 weeks from now when play Greenville in the next Cup game. I think it's one of those. If it's not an absolute must win, it is an absolute must not lose because I don't think the math works out if we lose to Greenville in any way.
Yeah, no. Like honestly, like the game against Greenville is make or break. Like you can't. I would even say for this game because honestly, I wanted the Kickers to go for the win in this one. Not saying that they didn't. Like I know last week we talked about like we want to see this team go for the win. I feel good in seeing that. Like they did try to go for it in the last 15, 20 minutes. It wasn't as if like, all right, we're trying to just play it out and play for the PK. If they would have won the full 3 points, that means that we would have, I think, we're tied with points right now with Greenville, which would have made.
I think we'd be one back.
Oh, one back. Okay. Which would have meant like if you go into that game against Greenville and say you win the PK shootout, then you're a point ahead, right? At that point.
We love it, yeah.
Yeah, 11, 1 for God.
But
these 2 and 1 point thing is throwing me off.
Right.
It's 3. All right.
It'll give you a lot more options.
Yeah. But it would have been easier, right? This makes it a lot harder because now it's like the Greenville game, since we only got the 2 points against Charlotte, it's the Greenville game now becomes you gotta win in the full 90. Almost.
Yeah, I think so. I'll try to do the math this week and figure out the different permutations, but I'm almost positive that a loss finishes them off.
Yeah, a loss more or less closes the door on this team progressing out of the group at the top of the table. But yeah, let me see. Did we have that game at home against Greenville?
Yeah, because remember we won our other PK game down there.
That's right, we did, and they came up here and
almost won it in regulation, but Evan Lee scored on a corner in like the 89th minute.
Yeah, which would have helped. So I think the rest of our Jägermeister games goes is Greenville, and then we got Tormenta at home, and then we got Spokane at home. So I mean, the next 3 are home games. So like, this team hasn't had the best performances at home, but hopefully, when time comes,
Wednesday,
hey, fortune change on Wednesday. Matter of fact, let's talk about Wednesday, which is the Henny Derby against Fort Madison. As people know, we haven't had the Cup here since 2002? No, 2021. Yeah, 2021 was the last time we won the Cup. They've had it for the last 2 years. There's an opportunity for us to win it this year. We need to win. You can't
What's
have
the
tiebreaker? Wins. So if it's a draw, it stays with Madison because they technically will have the draw. It's weird. Me and Kyle just did it that way because of shipping. We ain't feel like paying the extra money to ship it back and forth.
All right. I guess that's fair enough. Fair enough that the tiebreaker goes to the holder.
Yeah, so tiebreaker goes to the holder. So I was like, all right, cool. Richmond needs to win. Madison showed that they can lose a game. I mean, they've already lost one game, right? So they're still undefeated in the league, however.
Yeah, that's just some bullshit. Yeah, parsing of things. Like, yeah, they take multiple losses in the Jaeger Cup, which all the same teams as the league. It's just their losses happen on the wrong days. Anything like that.
Right. So they are unbeaten in the league. But they show that they can lose. One Knox got a good win over them. I think it was 2-0.
Mm-hmm. Shout out Stu.
Yeah. Stu did his thing. I'm proud of Stu. If you haven't heard the news, Madison spent a transfer fee on getting a striker, Grant McLaughlin, that didn't do much against One Knox at all. Got a yellow card for his efforts, but outside of that, didn't do much. So, Matt, what does Darren need to do to ensure the Kickers are walking out on Wednesday night on CBS Sport Network with a win?
I mean, I think I said it earlier. This is not just because it's Madison, because it's a league game and those games are starting to dwindle rather quickly. You got to put what your perceived best healthy 11 is out there. So I think you got to go with your back three that's been working. Get Maxey on the field. Like if he gets a yellow and gets suspended for game after that, whatever, fine. You deal with that week. But you got to really try to lay all the cards out there. If Emmy's ready to go for at least an hour, start him. Deal with the rest of that later. But I think it's encourage some of that more of that again direct play. Let Tony be able to stretch and keep Payne from being able to cheat forward too much by having the speed over there to help out. The good elements that we saw out of the way the attack worked on Saturday, I think can carry over. Like Madison's not immune from that. We saw that in the game up in Madison. What was that? A couple months ago now.
Yeah.
Like I don't expect Maxey to pull out another self-developed bicycle kick or anything. But I think we saw the team play pretty well up there. They had the lead. In the second half, and there's no reason to think they can't be able to find those goals again.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. They should be able to find those goals again, and I think the key to it is Darren's going to have to change his midfield a little bit. Like you said, if it's starting Zaka or Vaughn, you can't start both, just because Madison is going to look to get it behind, right? And I think if we're going with our best 11, if start Maxey, start Ani, at this point, we pretty much sure that Griffin's going to be the other center back. And then you got Fitch. Put that at the base of that midfield, and then
Can't do that. We're going to play 3 in the back.
Yeah. You go with the 3 in the back and put Zhao or Suko. Yeah. And allow them to be the one who does all the dirty work in front, in between Neil and Zaka or Vaughn. Like, allow that person to do all the dirty work in between, like chasing people down, hunting people down. Like, Charlotte had I can't remember the guy's name. Who was it? He had one guy that was literally like his whole job was just Alvarez, number 14 for Charlotte. Mm-hmm. His whole job was just press. Like, wherever had the ball, just run at them. Like, it was real no direct. Like, that's what Richmond needs to kind of disrupt Madison from allowing them to dictate the game and everything like that. Because, like, Madison starting 11 is like an 11 or, in their bench are made up of players, more or less. They can start anywhere in USL League One. And you can't allow a team like that just to get comfortable on the ball and dictate the tempo. Like, Richmond's going to have to dictate the tempo and cause some chaos in the midfield. And I think having a person out there like Zhao, or maybe Suko's a little bit more suited for it than Zhao, it just allowed them to go out there and just be like, yo, hunt. Like, just go hunt. Just go, whoever got the ball, like, hunt them. Like, force them back, cause chaos or whatever. And then
Yeah.
hoping Tony and Bill Hart can get up behind a sneaky one.
Or, it doesn't even have to be getting behind and speaking. I think the team can be able to hold possession, be able to move the ball up the field that way. But also, again, corners, long throws with Olney's back, free kicks. Like, there's no shame in scoring that way. Like, it all doesn't all have to be like 2009 Barcelona style goals. Like, win ugly, win dirty. Who cares?
Yeah, right. As long as you walk away there with the cup, like that's all we care about. Yeah, man. What I know we're like right before this because the team gets more or less of a week and a half off before their next game. How big would a Henny Derby win be for this team, like emotion wise?
I mean, I think the mere fact that it's a win, it's going to be big, right? Because regulation wins haven't necessarily been frequent.
Yeah.
Especially at home. Like we saw, that little burst, the Tormenta Knoxville burst. One of them was a Jaeger Cup game. The other was a league game. To be fair, but other than that, like those were both on the road. We saw the Fuego one at home. I think just being able to have that lift, because I think that lift will lift the fans, which then can help lift the players, and it can be that kind of perpetual motion.
Yeah.
At that point, because right now, I mean, the table doesn't look the most friendly. But with a win, however temporary it might be, can boost them back up into the playoff zone and deal with other teams' games in hand as they come. But it'll give the team some positive momentum coming off of a penalty win here, potentially getting a win on Wednesday. The fact that it's against Madison, added bonus to it, but I think the mere fact of getting off kind of the home schneid is going to be bigger than any other element.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, man. And it's going to be fascinating to see how Darren does all that because Matt Glazer, more or less, is going to pick an 11, throw a dartboard at it, be like, all right, you guys go play, no real coaching, and have fun. So Darren's really going to have to be in his bag to pull out this win. This upset win, which I think he will be. Like, I think the PK shootout win over Charlotte kind of gave the team an extra boost, and it was a chippy game. Like, it had like the Derby feel to it almost, like because Charlotte players were kind of chirping at Richmond players. I definitely remember like someone took a PK shirt off of Charlotte, and they was talking to the sideline and chirping at the bench. So shows that the boys are up and ready for a good fight.
Yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, man. Matt, anything else from you, sir, before we wrap up?
Look, again, if you're listening to this, you're probably not the people that need to be reminded about this, but show up. It's July 3rd. I'm guessing most of y'all probably aren't working on July 4th. So come on at 8 p.m. game, so a little bit later start, more time to tailgate. You could even go out to eat, in Carytown, walk over to the game. After that, make a whole evening of it. Have a lot of fun. Like allow Richmond to look good on like ultra premium TV, but TV nonetheless. Pack the crowd out. Like I know Richmond's capable of it, still this year because we've seen it with the Ivy games. Like people like soccer, like if you like that, come. There's no reason you shouldn't like, especially a game like this.
Yeah, no, exactly. And actually, shout out to the Ivy, man. Like they have had incredible attendance. Like I think someone tweeted out there like that they have average attendance number that rivals like some USL championship teams. Like
probably like some of the like the bottom end, like certainly more than like your Loud and Miami's and Charleston.
Yeah. But yeah, like even that's still amazing, man. And we seen like what a full packed out City Stadium can do for this squad, and what like winning a derby at home can do for this team and this crowd. So
yeah, I mean, you think back to 2022, 2023 when the kickers were regularly up in like the high fives, if not at six. Those crowds were fun to be in.
right.
Bring the fun back out on it's not a holiday weekend, holiday eve.
Holiday. That's good. That's a good way to put it, man. And if you also haven't checked it out, the league put out the video of the experience where they talked to the Red Army. It's a really good video. I recommend people go checking it out. Justin did a good job. Kate, even you, man. Yeah, you did a fantastic job.
Yeah. They cut out a lot of me, shit talking Madison.
I know.
Which I was surprised. I was surprised the piece that got in there, did. I was. There were a couple other things I, added in that I thought were like really nice and benign that I would have bet anything would have made it. So when I'm watching that video, I see me talking about how nobody in the league actually respects them. And that got in there, and not me talking up like the city as a destination for people to want to be and live. I was like, oh, all right,
all right. Like this is that part. Yeah, they got the part of me talking about they can boast about sweeping us and all that. So that's fine. Like we won the league at your place, and then they showed the clip of us winning the league there. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. All right. Well, hopefully we have more of that. And can't wait for it, man. I know a lot of people are gonna be down here in the city. I'm probably not gonna do post-game interviews after that because I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to be a fan.
I thought you were ready to say you weren't going to be there. I was like, come on.
Oh no! I'm going to be there. 1,000%. I'm not doing post-game interviews, so don't be looking for those after the match. Because no.
Well, you can find somebody else willing to take that.
Yeah,
probably not though.
Probably not. But yeah, man. Well, with that being said, Matt, as always, I just want to thank everyone for taking the time out of their day for listening to our podcast. Because without you, we couldn't do this. And as always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on X, Facebook, wherever.
It's called Twitter.
Yeah,
we're not calling it that.
Yeah, you're right. My fault. I made a mistake. Follow us at River City 93. And with that being said, y'all, we'll catch you guys later. Where next Sunday we will have a big Ivy wrap up where we'll talk about the end of the season. We might even see if we can get Coach on. That would be pretty cool. And yeah, so with that being said, we'll talk about a Derby win next Sunday. So be easy, be safe, y'all. We'll holler at you later. Peace.